guys, welcome back to the Explorer channel. Today we are going to talk about drugs and their consequences to our spiritual life. First part of the video we are going to discuss about the physical and social consequences of the drug using to our lives, to our society. And the second part of the video we are going to discuss, which is much more at the end of this video, about the spiritual consequences of drug using. But before I'm going on it, imagine with me a little ant walking on the ground. You suddenly decide to put your hand right in front of this little ant, and it starts walking on your hand, not more on the ground. What I mean with that? Well, we have a kind of power on this little ant because this little ant life is based on a 2D dimension system, as our lives are based on a 3D dimension. We have the notion of height, which this little insect doesn't have. So we can imagine the power that a fourth dimension being can have on us, and how this fourth dimension entity can interfere on our day by day, on our history, in our lives. This video is all about that. Drugs and their spiritual consequences to our life, as well as practice some English. As you already know, I'm an English student and I make these videos just for practicing, talking about interesting contents at the same time of practicing some English. So some highlighted words are going to appear here, and at the end of this video I'm going to give you some explanation about them. So stay until the end of the video, please. This is going to be very interesting and serious. The drug using consequences to our spiritual life is something very serious. So stay there. Let's go for it. So for everyone who's watching this, let's start it from some basic information about drugs and humanity as well, because drugs and human beings have always been together. Humans have been looking for ways to alter their consciousness by taking drugs since ever, or since at least 7 to 10,000 years ago, when the invention of agriculture took place in our history. Some drugs have the power of increasing our perception and enhance our mind activity rates. This has always been interesting, especially when you think about how this can change our feelings. That's why humanity have always been looking for drugs, different ways of expand their perception. Let's take as an example the cocaine. The word cocaine refers to the drug in a powder form. Extracted from coca leaves, cocaine was originally developed as a painkiller, but it's most often sniffed with the power absorbed into bloodstream through nasal tissues. The power of this powder is usually mixed with substances such as cornstarch, talcum powder, and other sugar or other drugs such as procaine or other kinds of amphetamines. It's not pure. The number of the new cocaine users in the USA has nearly doubled since 2013. Now Production is feeding consumption by an estimated 18 million users around the globe, more than 6 million users in the USA, and more than 3 million users in Brazil, which is my place. If we talk about cocaine, which is, in my opinion, one of the most harmful drugs for human society, money in this dark business always stays consistent. Normally, a surge in demand would mean a surge in price, but this doesn't happen with drugs. The price always stays stable. The drug market is not based on competing over price, but on serving their consumers with reliably. I mean, users choose their drug dealers, and this one must be someone who they can reliably give them their drugs. So it's much more reliably and not much about price. Anyways, this is a dangerous, consistent economy. It's not consistent, neither socially healthy or economically profitable. When we think about the lack of available treatment services or consequences like unemployment, poverty, and worse than that, the psychological and spiritual damages, not only to a drug addicted but to their relatives too. A dad or a mom of a crack addict, for example, suffers a lot. Drugs can take the hell inside their homes. If you are a relative, parent, or even live with someone who has gone too far on using drugs, you know what I'm talking about. The rush of dopamine into the brain, the intense energy, the incredibly rewarding sensation, the feeling of the eventual problems in our life becomes so small as you're feeling so great, powerful, and unstoppable. For example, are some of the cocaine effect on us. These kind of drugs change dopamine synergy inside our brains. These incredible sensations never get back once the original dopamine rush has been forced to a rapidly and higher level. So it's safe to say it's a no turning back trip. We know that other drugs can cause different effect on us. There are the depressant ones, the hallucinogens, the steroids, the stimulants, and so on. In my opinion, the most dangerous are the stimulants like cocaine and crack, for example. Therefore, since the last century, labs have caught up to craft whatever experience someone wants by the use of chemicals, especially in the recreational drugs. Therapy and recreation are always on demand, so drug manufacturing market became one of the most profitable businesses ever. So that's why law enforcement cannot contain it so easily. Let's think like a drug dealer here. Once you find a really profitable business, you do whatever it takes to keep this going on. It's something really hard to stop. This shadow criminal drug industry is so rich and so economically wealthy that maybe they are much more profitable than many pharmaceutical companies around the world. So much so it's very likely that pharmaceutical companies' tech employees have been secretly giving some hand to drug industry kingfishers. But we are not going to get into that today. So we have discussed on how profitable the drug industry is up to here. The coordinated mechanism from planting to sales is really impressive. That obviously wouldn't be possible without the helping hand of politics. But let's focus on the final message of this video. The Explorer channel would like to draw attention to one point. Your spiritual experiences are between you and your internal higher power. And honestly, it would be difficult for someone else to make that decision for you. Each person is a unique universe. So if you are using drugs to avoid your life, then you are most likely going to avoid your higher power until you are able to stop your addiction. That's definitely not the way. Having faith is built by trusting on yourself. I believe Jesus Christ is our Lord in this world, but He wants you to be your own Lord as well. It's up to you. It's nice to use natural substances to expand your perceptions, but it's not a good idea to use the synthetic ones. When you continue to pursue your addiction to synthetic drugs for expanding your perceptions, you are putting faith into them instead of into your higher power, which everyone naturally wants by birth, by God. So now I'd like to share something in which I really believe. You can believe in it or not. I really suspect there's kind of a soft dimension. Some people call it the fourth dimension. I guess there must be lots of realities in God's plan. But the ones in our dimension's neighborhood are the ones that can mess with us the most. Some entities who can access these special hidden dimensions can access you the more you use drugs. Some of them want and can shatter your life and your universe by draining your energy. So please don't be their toy, don't be their puppet. As I try to explain at the beginning of this video, if you have power on an ant walking on the ground, beings from the fourth dimension can have much more power over us, much more power on our lives. And when you use drugs, we became their marionette, their puppet, their toy, as I said before. So be careful with that. One day, every feeling that any chemical can cause on us will be possible and real without using drugs. This is going to be natural. It's all about our evolution as human beings, and it's a not good idea to skip these steps. Be patient. Be a man, be a woman, be straight. Be strong and responsible for your life, for your relatives, your friends, your progress, for you and for the ones you love. Be careful with the use of synthetic drugs. Well, this short video is come to end. Today I have explored some new vocabulary, drug data, as well as physical and spiritual consequences of drug use. If you are drug addictive or not, believe me, reality sometimes sucks even for those ones who never tried any drug. We'll have to work for the best, for general good, not skipping evolution steps. Let us be strong and not fall into spiritual debts, because life is never ending. See you next video with more interesting contents, information, and some of more basic English vocabulary. I'm Dennis the Explorer.